today we've got a cool video for you. I want to talk to you about what I think is the best value for money group set and the best no compromise group set on the market, and why I think it's this one here. Also, some of you might have spotted this little bit of bike jewellery from Hope. More on that in the video. So this is actually the Shimano Deore M6100 Groupset, the 12-speed version. This stuff is phenomenal value for money, and I can't see a compromise with it anywhere. Let's unbox it and let's take a look. Right, so I want to start with the Crankset. This is where most of you think the bulk of the weight compromise is going to be. I think what Shimano have done this is brilliant. Now, so in the box, always wrapped up in plastic, you're going to find the cranks, left-hand crank arm, and that's it. This actually unit's $89.99 RRP, whatever that means these days. But I think if it wasn't for the word Deore, that would look really nice. I love the gloss black. The logo is actually kind of like a sort of an oil slicky purple, which looks really, really nice. And if it said XTR on it, you wouldn't know any difference. Everything else on it is pretty much standard Shimano. Same steel axles, left-hand crank is that familiar preload bolt, and the two little pinch bolts just to do it up. It is so simple. Chain rings themselves, bit of a weird one actually. If you wear these out and want to replace them like for like, they're quite expensive, but you can actually just replace them with the Shimano SLX XT, which are actually cheaper. Of course, if you want to do this, you don't get the tool included with the cranks like you do with SLX and XT. So on the back of these are just hollowed out here. And this is different to the Shimano SLX XT XTR, where this is actually enclosed at the back. Now, that allegedly makes them stiffer and lighter. I've personally never had a problem, but I want you to put this into perspective. I'm going to show you something from Hope. Now, this piece of bike jewellery from Hope is almost exactly the same design. So this is a piece of aluminium hollowed out at the back. This is just machined from a piece of aluminium. Okay, the Deore one there is forged, whereas this is machined, CNC machined. I don't think that's going to make a massive difference. Comes with a 30mm axle, aluminium. Everything else about it is all aluminium as well, and has an aluminium chainring. This is like 300 quid, and it's 30 grams lighter. Okay, yeah, okay, so 30 grams lighter, I'll pay that for a bit of bike bling. But then you consider that you need one of these, which is a Hope BSA to 30mm bottom bracket, get that 30 grams back almost straight away. Now, the other big disadvantage I think with this is that these are hardened steel bearings, as always, but those hardened steel bearings are running on a soft aluminium axle. Whereas the Shimano, as always, steel axle against steel, these are known to be so durable. No weight difference. Now, I think that all adds up to this Deore group set being amazing value from the Crankset onwards. Let's take a look at the rest of it. Next up, we have the Cassette. Now, this is normally where you're going to save a little bit of money down the line. Now, of course, the gear ratios are well documented. You don't need me to tell you about the 10 tooth through to 51 tooth. And really, the main difference here is the large 51 tooth is slightly heavier. I don't think you're going to notice any difference in this. The weight is fairly marginal. Next up, I want to talk to you about the rear mech. Now, when you buy a bike, you're probably going to find that it comes with a higher spec rear mech than the rest of the group set. It's one of those little tricks that the bike industry do. I want to talk to you about the Deore mech because there's really no compromise being made here. It's got that same gloss black finish. It's got that same oil slick logo design. I think it looks really smart. And if you line this up next to the SLX XT, it's really hard to see a difference. It really is. I have to say, personally, I prefer how this looks over the rest of the Shimano range, if I'm perfectly honest. It looks great, it works great. What's not to like? All right, next up, our little shifter. Now, a couple of options here. The new iSpec EV, which I actually really quite like. I think it's the best iSpec system that they've done. Or you can get a normal bound on so you can run your own brakes or whatever you want. So this is where you start seeing some differences from the other spec. This actually looks a lot more plasticky, and obviously you're losing some of the multi-way release as well that you get on some of the higher models. But if there's been one place that I upgrade, it's probably going to be this, and I'll probably upgrade straight to the XT shifter. But this, for 12-speed shifter, for 35 quid, this is bob on. All right, here's where things get interesting. 4-pot brakes on Deore spec is not to be ignored. Let's take a closer look. Now, one of the differences you're going to notice is you do lose some adjustment. This is actually the lever itself. Although it's the same shape, that really nice one-finger braking shape, what you do lose is that nice aluminium, slightly pitted, non-slip design, and the reach adjuster is a fairly crude Allen key bolt. The lever design, I think I could probably live with. There's no difference in performance. You can squeeze these just as hard as you can squeeze everything else, and they'll still stop you. And here we go, the caliper end. Again, 4-pot design, they look identical to the rest of the range. If you look really, really closely, you can see a few things where it's cast a little bit different, but you really have to look. The biggest difference with this is when you buy them, they don't come with the finned brake pads. Now, those finned brake pads can be 20, 30 pounds each. So this is just going to a standard brake pad. So most of the saving here is actually in the brake pad, which you can upgrade anyway. So there we have it. This is the Shimano Deore M6100 Groupset, 12-speed. And I like it. I like it a lot. In terms of if you're putting a custom build together and you wanted to put more of your money into the things that really make a difference, i.e. your forks, your wheels, your tyres, and you need to compromise somewhere, this is not a compromise. Still 12 speed, still that amazing gear ratio. You're not going to notice the tiny amount of weight difference. You're not going to notice the tiny difference in brakes. It's brilliant. Get one. Almost forgot, if you want to know more about what's coming up in this box and that box, stay tuned for the next video.